All right, guys, we're back here on Southeastern 16, presented by FanDuel. Max Barr is here. We're going to talk about Arkansas surviving Winthrop. We're going to talk about more on what Mark Pope had to say about Kentucky last night. If you missed the stream there, you can check it out. We had plenty to say, and you guys had plenty to say regarding Michigan State's dominant win over Kentucky. And we'll talk more about the other action from last night and preview tonight's action. Only two games. Auburn hosts Jackson State and Illinois and Alabama, which our preview for that went up a little while ago. So, yeah, we will get into all that. Before we do, you're probably having a nice beverage this morning. And if you are, I have zero doubt you're doing it in your officially licensed stainless steel drinkware accessory called GameTime Sidekicks. Every SEC school is there, over 350 more universities as well. Everything from stainless steel sippy cups, tumblers, 40-ounce bottles, and shaker cups. I got like the mid-season voice going on here, Max Barr.
Yep.
SE16 for 20% discount. To our viewers, SE16, 20% off over at GameTimeSidekicks.com. All right. Let's start with Arkansas. And we'll get to Mark Pope's comments in a bit, since we did already talk about that game for 45 minutes last night. The Hogs, Max, in one of the wildest finishes to a game I can remember, find a way to get the win over Winthrop, 84-83. I thought the game was over when Nick Pringle pushed the guy, and I thought Winthrop was about to get multiple free throws, the ball back, and win the game. Didn't happen, and Arkansas, who trailed by 5 with a minute and a half to go, finds a way to win. The story of this game, what do you know? Once again, Malik Thomas, 26 points in 34 minutes. The guy is just an absolute dog, Max. We mentioned some other teams searching for a dog right now, but
Yeah.
Malik Thomas is that guy, and good performance from him. Pringle finished with 13, Brazil had 14, Acuff had 12, and Knox had 9. That was about kind of the story of this game for Arkansas. I'll let you give your thoughts, and then we got a little audio we'll play from John Calipari here.
Yeah, well, for Chris was saying, quick little cliff notes on the game for those that didn't see. Well, it was a poor first half. Arkansas was only up by 2 points at halftime, 43-41. Malik Ewan did not play well at all. Barely played, to be honest. Only played a few minutes. But if you look at the actually here, I'll pull this up on the screen so you guys can see it. We haven't pulled this up yet, Blake. We haven't had a game yet that is warranted this. But look at that win percentage graph right there with 1 minute and 26 seconds left. Winthrop had an 86% chance to win the game, up by 5. Clearly, weren't able to finish that one out, but man, it was looking like absolute disaster there for a little while.
Why don't we hear from John Calipari? See what he thought about this.
Oh,
all right. Let's see what one of his takeaways was from this game. This is from Tyler Cass on Twitter, by the way. Sure. Here we go.
Execution. How about we may go back to how you guys grew up, if any of you really ever played basketball, where you had to pass it 5 times before you shoot it. You all that do that? I think we're going to do that. 8th grade shit. We're going to go 8th grade. You got to pass it before 5 or 6 times. Coach Knight had a lot of fun doing that. That's how they played. The ball's moving, you're screening, and until we get to this, you're not shooting the ball. I mean, I'm not talking about transition. You know in transition, we're as good as anybody in the country. But until you rebound better and defend, you're going to end up playing them doing this and you coming down quick. You saw the first play of the first half. It's almost like I got to draw stuff up to get them to go from one side of the court to the other to do it. It's on me. It's not on them. So I got a lot of work to do.
Well, he's got to draw some stuff up. He said it. So Got to draw some stuff up. He was not happy. There was another clip out there from the post-game press conference. I think the defense was the big word there. Not happy with the communication. He's basically just saying guys they don't talk. And, I mean, this is, my goodness, like, what's going on with these top-tier SEC teams right now? These guys don't want to talk. They're struggling with their defense, as Cal said. You got another team we talked about last night that has no chemistry, a lot of other issues. Yeah, so, I mean, they still won the game, but I think that is kind of one of those where, you know, he's got to get them to value the defensive side in games like this because, yes, Winthrop hit some shots. They went 15 of 31 from three. But some of that, like you mentioned, is communication-based, and you had the one guy went for 7 of 10. But I don't know, man. It's a win. You'll take it. But that's back-to-back home wins now. 4-point win against Samford, 1-point win against Winthrop. And we said these are not bad teams. Like, keep that in mind. These are not the 300-plus type, KenPom teams that some of these other SEC teams are playing right now. But still, clearly Arkansas working through some things when it comes to shot selection, communication, and just overall defensive performance.
Sounds just like the Cats last night. Man. How many times did Jay Billis last night when the Cats were playing say, Kentucky's not making them guard. They're just taking the first shot. They're not making them guard. They're just taking the first shot. And then John Calipari goes, I'm going to have to draw stuff up just to get them to pass the ball from one end of the court to the other. They're taking the first shot. They're not making the other team defend. What are we doing, guys? Just in those past two games, Blake, the early analytics have really taken a step back for the Hogs. They were 25th in KenPom entering Friday's home game against Samford, 25th entering that game. Right now, they're 41st. You get two wins.
Bottom 5 in the SEC.
Yeah, I mean, this was a team where at 25th last week, 2 weeks ago, we were saying, I don't know. I think this team's a little bit better than like fringe top 25. Well, after 2 games, now the mid 40s are the bubble. I'm not saying this team's a bubble team, but geez, you just went from being 25th in the analytics down to outside the top 40 back-to-back games. Just not clicking.
No, and like you said, it's a win, and I think if you're a coach this time of year, you will certainly be okay with that, finding ways to win. They still found a way, even though, again, at the end there, man, what a just wild sequence to have the thing you had with Pringle and all that, and yeah, I don't know. Like, whatever happened there, it could have cost them the game. And I know people were talking about, look what the other guy did and all this, but yeah, still that's a tough spot to be in. But, I mean, they play Auburn State on Friday, and then we said their schedule just picks up, and that's where it's at Michigan State by 3. I mentioned, last night, if we compare the two games, yes, Kentucky's performance was way worse than Arkansas's one in a true road game at Michigan State, but still there was some frustration, and you felt like Michigan State was just a better team in key moments, and that's where give Arkansas credit for making the plays in these past couple games to win the games, but, Cal knows long-term it's not going to cut it with the consistency. I think that's the thing right now. It's the consistency. It seems to be lacking, and, look, I mean, you've just not had guys that we thought were going to be major factors in this rotation. It just hasn't been that way so far. So
I'm really concerned about Malik Ewan, to be honest. I know I've been harping on him, but he only scored in single digits 6 times all of last season. He's already done that 4 in the first few games. Like, he is just way off of what his numbers were last year. Last year, he was top 10 in the ACC in defensive rebounding percentage, up at 21% in ACC play. Right now, he's at 9.8%, less than half of his defensive rebounding percentage from last year. He's not being as physical as he was last year. 7 minutes in back-to-back games, 2 points. That's, I mean, it's more than just he's, had a no-show here or there. This is pretty concerning with Ewan.
Well, yeah, Arkansas right now, as we mentioned, I mean, statistically, they're in the 40s, both offensive and defensive efficiency. Like Cal said, I don't think he's wrong in that they are one of the best in the country in terms of their transition and that's going to put some pressure on teams defensively, even once you get to SEC play, especially right now. But I mean, there are some of those times where, again, shot selection, standing and watching, like that has been a theme with Cal's teams, and I think it's kind of showed up a little bit this year so far, especially like we said, and maybe some of the stretch moments of that Michigan State game where you just have those possessions. You've got to be great to win games like that. And, we mentioned you're still depending on freshmen, and so they're going to work through some things. Even as good as Thomas and Acuff are, they're still going to have to work through things. And so, yeah, I just think it's consistency. That's the word I would say with Arkansas. You just want them to be more consistent, and they will be put to the test in 8 days when they play Duke. So, yeah, we will really start to learn a lot. Remember, Duke, Louisville, Texas Tech, Houston, still on the non-conference schedule for the Hogs. So, yeah.
Projected spread for that Duke game right now is Duke -9. So, shall see.
Yeah, the difference in front court right now overall may be a big thing. We'll see on that, but that could be the same with Duke no matter what, no matter who they play. All right, so that was, again, kind of your, the story for Arkansas. They find a way to win, and you'll take it right now. Given this current SEC landscape, Max Barr, we'll take any wins we can get.
Yep.
Because I think I predicted last night, I said somebody's losing of that group that we had still to play after the Kentucky-Michigan State game. But luckily, no one lost. And the other scores, before we get to it, stop what you're doing right now. There's a little button on your screen. It's a little thumbs up. And here's what we want you to do. We want you just to hit that button. That way, you give a little like here to our SEC basketball coverage. Super Chats will make sure that your question or comment gets featured here on the channel in front of millions upon millions of viewers out there. Could be billions, Max, by the end of the season. The SEC's got to win more games for that to happen.
Yeah.
And your memberships. Man, we got some. I don't think we've ever been this excited about what we're about to do for our members. So it's going to be tremendous. Everyone's shirts will stay on, but it's going to be a tremendous time, no matter what. All right, the other games from last night. South Carolina 87, Radford 58. Max, do you want to hear from Father Lamont Paris? Would you like to do that? I can't think of anyone
I need that.
I'd rather hear from right now than my guy, Father Lamont Paris, and the 4-0 South Carolina Gamecocks. They came in, people were wondering, come on, why is this team only favored by 8.5, 9.5, whatever it was? The Gamecocks said, get out of here, Radford. 29-point win for this team. Let's get some thoughts from Lamont Paris via Claire Foley at
I
Fox
talked
57.
about it earlier that I thought this was probably the overall deepest team that I've ever been around. Now, it's also the first time you have 15 guys, scholarship guys on your roster, but we have a lot of guys that can do some things on any particular day, and so that's nice. It's nice for a lot of things. It's nice because no one's guaranteed to just stay out there when they're playing poorly or when they're, not on their best behavior as a teammate. And shot selection seems to go a certain way. We don't really have problems with that too much, knock on wood, but it is nice to have just a lot of guys that can go in and you feel comfortable about what they're going to do when they get out there. And it actually goes a little beyond that because a lot of these guys have some firepower. I mean, it's not like you throw a guy in off the bench and it's like, okay, I hope he kind of holds it down. If he gets 6-8 points, that'd be great. We got a lot of guys that could, under the right circumstances, score. I mean, like you said, double figures, but some of these guys could really have big games off the bench if the stars align right. And not a lot of teams have that many guys that have that ability, but then also are willing to play the role that is their role. I think that's a very rare combination, and we, early on in the season, it's early, but it does appear we have that.
Boy, what a drastic difference in that coach talking right now and some of the other coaches we've heard talk, because our guy, Father Lamont Paris, feeling pretty confident about what he's seen so far. Like he said, it's early, and the Gamecocks, for a lot of people, probably still going to be projected as one of the bottom teams in the SEC. We understand. But at the same time, give them some credit, man. They've looked pretty good because, I know they had the close call against Southern Miss, but you just watch them play. You can tell. Like, I don't I'm not sure if it's an NCAA tournament team or not. We're going to find out, I think, the rest of the week when they play those teams like Butler and Northwestern. But I think, yeah, like you see a team that is built a lot better than it was last year. And I think definitely when you look at the guard play, you just realize this is a different kind of group, I think, in terms of their guards right now.
Yeah, I like the depth. How about Grant Polk? Did you see the? I doubt many people saw it. It was early in the game, and it was a late shot clock, and Grant Polk has a hand right in his face, and there was like no time left, and he just had to chuck it, and he just bangs it. Grant Polk is shooting 54% from three right now, 53.8 if you want to be exact. But there's a little. That's like a classic John Rothstein. Well-embedded moles in Columbia have sent word that Grant Polk is a flamethrower from outside. Like, well, I didn't see this coming. I didn't see Hayden Nesemian be a starter as a freshman. I didn't see that coming as well. I didn't see the depth being so good that Norton Kapich starts to see his minutes go away a little bit. Starts the season out the first two games, and then the past two against Presbyterian and Radford, Kapich only plays 13 total minutes in the two games combined. Thought he was going to be a key piece there. So the depth is encouraging. The depth hasn't really been tested yet, but it's encouraging. Right now, still floating right around the 90 range in the analytics. It's mainly due to that Southern Miss result, but can make a big splash here next week.
Yeah, that's going to be the thing. Like you said, South Carolina could be a big mover this week in a positive way if they are able to get the sweep. I mean, even if you go 1-1, I think you're okay with that, honestly, because I think it's just a matter of, look, those are two neutral court games, and where are they playing? White Sulphur Springs, that's West Virginia. I mean, you're playing a Butler team that just lost at SMU, but I think a very capable Butler team. I think that's going to, they're going to present some challenges that this South Carolina team has not seen yet. Then you play Northwestern, who's 4-0. We kind of know the style you're going to get from them. They just won a close game at DePaul. Yeah, I mean, and they just won a close game at DePaul. And yeah, I mean, you know what you got to do with that guy. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's, again, you're going to see two different type of teams here when they play Butler and Northwestern. I think that's kind of good for South Carolina long term, because I think it'll give you kind of a different look at two different kind of makeups of teams. So, yeah. Shout out to the Gamecocks, 4-0, and I do think he's right. You've got a lot of guys who can contribute on this team, and the depth is better. I mean, you win a game as an 8.5, 9.5 point favorite with Meechie Johnson only scoring 2 points. I don't know how many of us would have said that. So, kind of shows you they got a lot of guys who can do some things on this team. So, yeah, I think trending up are the Gamecocks. We'll see how far up they go. All right, elsewhere. Ole Miss gets a 72-65 win over Austin Peay. Elias filling the stat sheet again. What's new? 15 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists for our guy. And yeah, I watched a decent chunk of this. I didn't watch it from start to finish, but I think again you're looking at Ole Miss and you're feeling like, well, for starters, Malik Dia went for 18 and 7 in this game, but I still think. They played 10 guys too, 10 or more minutes in this one. I think the depth is still going to be a theme with Ole Miss. And again, we'll see what that rotation maybe shortens to come SEC play. But I just think you do have some guys who are going to kind of contribute in a lot of different areas. And I think they have that ability to be playing, kind of different rotations right now. But you kind of know what the core of this team is going to be. It's going to be built on what Elias can do, what Dia can do, what Storr can do. And then I think beyond that, you've got guys who are kind of embracing different roles. And so, Travis Perry had kind of an off shooting night. We mentioned this year that's kind of been the theme. Hasn't shot it that well. But again, I think that'll come. And I think his minutes will probably have a chance to go up. So not probably the most impressive win on paper for Ole Miss when you just look at it, from the final score standpoint. But I still think this is a pretty impressive team based on what I've seen through the first 5 games.
Yeah, I like the team definitely, but it clearly wasn't a great result. It tied.
That was notable too. Forgot to mention this. Yeah, like he, Austin Peay, and that's the, don't forget, like Austin Peay is a pretty good team. Like they're going to be in their conference. Like, yeah, they're going to be one of the favorites if they're not the favorite. I haven't checked, but I'm sure Beard would not be happy with the outcome. But I still think, again, there's a lot you can like about this Ole Miss team.
Yeah, it just wasn't a good game physically. They kind of just came out sleepwalking after they had 20 offensive boards on Bakersfield last time out and out rebounded. Actually didn't out rebound Memphis, but it was a good physical game. You got to be out rebounding Austin Peay by good margin. Letting up 17 offensive boards to Austin Peay. Rashad Marshall revenge game. He was a freshman in Chris Beard's first year at Ole Miss. He grabbed 6 offensive rebounds. That has been just the Achilles heel for Chris Beard at Ole Miss every year. So I could see why he wasn't happy. I don't think that was a great effort from his squad, but like you said, this is one of those teams where it does feel like the chemistry is there. It does kind of feel like you know what you're getting from this identity, who's leading the show and who's supporting. I like the depth, how you can have, Keza Giffa maybe makes a few shots, maybe grabs a few steals, and he gets a few more minutes. Or maybe it's Patton Pinkins, who we haven't really talked about too much, but is quietly playing about 15 minutes a game. Travis Perry, Corin Johnson, they kind of have that ability to ride the hot hand around Ilias, Store, Dia, whoever's having the best game, whoever has the best matchup that game. So it's going to be interesting to see how Ole Miss finally responds here after they get Iowa, Miami, St. John's. I know Miami will be the lowest rated out of all those, but let's not kid ourselves. Miami's a lot better than last year. I think that's 3 pretty tough teams in a row right there.
They're going to need some good defensive performances in these games, I think, for Ole Miss, and that may be what wins it. So, I think that's going to be kind of the story of these next 3 games, especially when you talk about teams like Iowa and St. John's and what I think they're capable of at their height. So, we will learn more about Ole Miss coming out of that. All right.
Real quick, before we move on from Ole Miss, this 3-game stretch, Iowa, Miami, St. John's, Ken Palm's projected the Rebels to go 1-2. I would be disappointed. I think you got to go 2-1 here.
Yeah, no, I think you're going to have a very close spread with Iowa. I think that's probably the game that has the best chance. I mean, I think winning at St. John's will be tough. Should beat Miami, I think. But I think the Iowa one's the one I'm most intrigued by. Just because you got 2 teams, when you look at just kind of the way Iowa has played under Ben McCollum, and you just know kind of the style they're going to revert to. And they are just already, kind of showcasing their efficiency offensively, and I just, that's where I think you're really going to be put to the test. So I would think that game opens up probably max with a spread of 1 or 2 either way, maybe.
And you got to, if you're a Rebel fan, that you don't play on the weekend, so you got a whole week to prepare for Ben McCollum.
Now, is that I'm sorry, we always say schedules are schedules, and I just can't keep up with everybody's tournament, classic, whatever schedule. So they're going to play, let's see, they play Iowa, and then they're going to play Utah or Grand Canyon after that. So I think the Iowa one's the toughest one of that group. So, yeah. All right. Okay, moving on. LSU 107, Alcorn State 81. That game was tight for a bit, but not so much at the end. LSU puts up 107. And man, it's just like you look at what LSU has done. I mean, they're 4-0 now, and it's just the output, right? They scored at least 93 points in all their 4 games. And, you look at the tempo and kind of the way they're playing, and I think that's what we said could be the difference with this team. Like, you talk about efficiency. They're one of the top 5 offensive rebounding teams in the country in terms of getting 45.9% of their, offensive rebounding percentage there. So that's very impressive. They're a great free throw shooting team, which I like to see that, Max, because we don't see a lot of those in the SEC right now. But yeah, another one for LSU. Defense got to be better, I think, come SEC play, because I don't know if they're going to win a lot of games in the 90s. But Mike Nwoko, your guy, Max Barr, 29 points in this game in 20 minutes. 29 points, 9 rebounds in 20 minutes. Man, LSU shot 39 free throws in this game, by the way.
Yeah. The poor Braves of Alcorn State. fall to 0-6. But you're right about the defense. That was actually Alcorn's season high total, 81 points. You could go about 15 minutes into this game, actually, and LSU's down by 5. That first half was brutal. That was a brutal first half. LSU did not come out to play, but then end up dropping 107. Just put it on Alcorn in the second half. But that defense was not encouraging. Alcorn is rated 312th in offensive efficiency, and they put up 81. So that's got to get fixed, and Matt McMahon he's not going to be happy with that. But one development that we didn't really see coming for LSU is Pablo Tamba. Senior, he started his career out at Idaho State, played a few years at UC Davis, was a starter last year, and he started every game this year. I thought he was going to be kind of a reserve guy behind this loaded front court. Right now, his leadership, his defense, his rebounding, Pablo Tamba, I don't think is going to drop any minutes here as that competition picks up. I think he's going to be a big piece of this rotation. I just really didn't see coming.
Well, we said LSU's got a great chance to start 7-0. They're going to play Omaha coming up on Friday. Then they have Drake on a neutral court. Again, I probably am forgetting. They probably play another game there somewhere. So let me pull up their schedule real quick. I keep forgetting next week is Feast Week. I'm just like, that is just, it's like, how did we get here already? But we are there. So they're going to play Drake, and then it's Georgia Tech or DePaul. I don't care which one they play. I think LSU could have a chance to win the Emerald Coast Classic, be the champions of the Emerald Coast Classic there. So, okay, add that in potentially. But yeah, I mean, if you're LSU and you have that game at Boston College, which I think is very winnable, could be in a nice spot. We'll see how it goes in Florida for them. But yeah, I would probably be disappointed if LSU doesn't come out of there. I mean, I don't know. I want to say like, hey, maybe you lose one, but I don't know, Max. I don't know if I can say that with LSU. I think they need to win these games, including the one at Boston College before you get to Texas Tech. I think they need to be unbeaten, 8-0, heading into that Texas Tech game, if we want to kind of feel like they've turned the corner here. But so far, I think they have, and a lot of it is just they just have a different gear offensively. So, yep.
Markel Sutton, 3 straight double-doubles. Let's keep it rolling.
Unreal. What a guy. All right, we wrap up last night's action. Texas A&M 86, Montana 81. We said this one would be close, and it wound up being a little bit too close for comfort for the Aggies. They were up. What were they up at half? It was 14? Was that 14 at half? But then they gave up 50 points in the second half, and that's why it wound up being pretty close there at the end, because A&M did have a 19-point lead with about 6.5 to go. From there, they gave up 27 points. You don't want to give up 27 points in 6.5 minutes, but that's going to be something I'm sure Bucky's not going to be pleased with. I think, look, to me, it's still an incomplete grade for A&M to this point in the season because they don't have what I think is going to be their best player in Mbako, so I don't really have a lot to harp on with the Aggies right now, just because I think without having him on the floor, it's a different team.
It is a different team, but at the same time, these games matter. And you've seen your analytical rank start the season at 35th, and through 5 games, you're at 73rd. 35th down to 73rd. Mbako, definitely has an impact on that, but you're going from in the tournament to way outside based on the analytics. And if you look at Texas A&M's non-conference, they might only play they might not play another tournament team until the SEC. SMU is a bubble team right now, shocker. But you're now quickly looking at Texas A&M being thrown into an SEC season now where you have to pick up huge wins and a good amount of them, or you're not gonna make the NCAA tournament. You got to get this analytical rank up from 73rd. That's way too low. So I don't know what Bart Torvik has. There's been a big difference between the two. check real quick. Ken Pom has 73rd. Bart Torvik has 52nd. So not as down, but still they've dropped about 20 ranks on Bart Torvik. So it's like we know how much the committee uses analytics to factor into their seeding, and you can't be dropping this much this early. It's hard to make up ground later in the season.
Well, yeah, like you said, their upcoming schedule, they got a trio of ACC teams next week. Well, starting next Friday, they'll play Florida State, Pitt, and then SMU. All those games are away from home. A couple neutral, one true road game at Pitt. But yeah, there's not a lot of ground to make up right now for A&M. If they were to drop, let's say 2 of those 3, they're in trouble.
Probably not going to make a tournament at that point.
No, I think you can probably, unless again Mbako just comes in and they're just an absolute force and turning things around. That may have kind of decided right there if they can't go at least 2-1. Like I think you at least got to go 2-1. You love to be 3-0 based on the fact you've already dropped 2, but that's where, like we said, coming into the season, these are going to be the things that determine how many SEC teams get in. It's not just going to be what happens in conference play. And so far, I think A&M is probably not pleased with where they're at, but clearly a work in progress. They're working through rotations too when you watch them. And I just think we'll see how it changes once he's there. Okay. That's all for last night's action. Before we get into Mark Pope's comments, and we're going to quickly talk about tonight's games. Not a big slate, but we'll give you a couple extra thoughts on it. Let's tell you about the Yearly Company, Nashville-based fine jewelry brand, built on tradition, designed for meaning. Each piece handcrafted from solid 14-karat gold. Reminds me of the chat, to be honest with you. Solid 14-karat gold. Natural gemstones. Made to measure for perfect fit. Backed by a lifetime guarantee. Every Yearly Company bangle, as you know, is custom size. So knowing your size, the most important step before you order. It's the holiday season. You want to get your shopping done early. Do it now. Get 100% off the sizing kit at checkout. Put our code in there, SE16KIT, SE16KIT, over at the Yearly Company. Buy some jewelry. That'll make you feel better. But buy responsibly at the Yearly Company. Actually, don't. Just go buy everything. They love it.
Yes.
ROKFORM, ROKFORM.com, the world's strongest magnetic phone case. Extreme protection, super strong magnets, rock lock, secure mounting. They got the phone cases. They got the accessories. They got anything you need over there. I don't think they sell food, but they may one day. If they do, you can get 25% off SEC25 for 25% off over at ROKFORM, ROKFORM.com. All right, let's get back quickly to Kentucky because we said last night we didn't have Mark Pope's comments. Well, now we've seen some stuff out there, and I think the biggest one that's probably the most glaring, there's lots of clips out there. We're going to play this one from the Field of 68. They shared, which is via Kentucky Sports Radio. This clip, I think, from KSR just kind of tells you a lot about kind of what you can just tell, Max. Like, you can just watch this, and there's really just no doubt when you watch it kind of what you're seeing here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, let's watch.
I actually think I'm gonna temper my words right now. I actually think that our identity should be
like, yeah, he's just,
if you build an organization the right way, then your identity is not about an individual person. Your identity is about a collective group. And so it shouldn't matter if we had built a great organization and a great culture, which I've clearly failed to do up until today. But we won't fail this season. We just have failed up till today. And we will build an organization where it won't be disrupted every time someone steps in and steps out, because we'll have a team identity, not an individual identity. Until we get there, we're going to really struggle. That's my job. That's why Mitch brought me here. I'm doing it poorly. I won't do it poorly for much longer.
Ooh. So he did the interview with Jeff Goodman. You can find that one on, I mean, again, you can see the clip on Twitter. That's where we pull this stuff from. It's like, I mean, he looked even more just defeated when he was talking to Jeff. Like, he just looked like he was just didn't know what to do. But that's the thing. He said something right there. And as I'm hearing him, I'm like, you know, he's kind of saying, we're gonna find that. We're going to fix that. Can you? Your roster is your roster. And I think it's like, you can fix I do think to a certain extent you can fix chemistry. If you find the right combination, that fixes the chemistry. But I don't know if you can fix identity. Like, I think that's a hard thing to fix unless Max Barr, you're getting everybody bought in to a new sort of identity. And honestly, it's probably the opposite of the one you saw last night, which, like we said, the identity last night against Michigan State was a team that I think got beat on the 50-50 balls, was not as tough as its opponents, didn't look like the communication or the chemistry was there at all. And I don't know. Can you fix all that? Not sure.
Yeah, geez. A lot of takeaways. And then Otega always body language too while he's talking. I mean, the eye rolls and you can tell he's
Good grief.
I mean, it's just poor negative body language from Owe right next to him. You're having comments of, has Pope lost the locker room? Is there stuff going on behind the scenes? Then you got the Goodman interview right after where he's even more defeated. He's hanging his head, while he's interviewing, sulking. It's like, I appreciate the vulnerability from a coach. It's a nice change from coach speak, but like, at what point do you have to put on a little bit of a front here for the Kentucky and not act like the world is falling? I mean, the past few times Mark Pope has talked, it's like, Jesus, this guy's mental health all right. Like he's looking pretty depressed. Maybe it doesn't look good.
I mean, listen, Alan. Alan says, look, Blake, it seems like he lost his team. I almost feel like that was an admission of being like, I don't have this team right now.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I heard. And again, you don't want to hear a coach saying that at any point in the season, but after game 5, I mean, that's really what it sounded like to me. Is sort of like, hey, I don't have this team right now. And that's not good for a $22 whatever million. That's not good for any roster, but especially given the expectations. And I don't know. So, I mean, look, Don asked a question too. And I think, Don, my answer to this would be, I think there are certain coaches who handle these things in different ways when it comes to, and Don's asking, why wouldn't Pope put anything on the players? Don says there's an obvious lack of effort last night. There are certain coaches, I think, who would not shy away from that because they have that relationship and or, whatever with the player. But I don't know if, Mark Pope just may not be that kind of guy. And apparently, like we said, I mean, I don't know. I just don't know. I don't have an answer. And clearly the coach doesn't have the answer right now. And that's the problem. He says he's going to fix it. And so guess what? All you can do is judge him on what he's going to do from here. If he says he's going to fix it, then he's got to fix it. And I don't know.
Yeah. And did you see Otega Owe? He said that what's holding him back the most right now is his own effort. That's what's holding him back the most.
That's just...
It's a top 20 matchup in Madison Square Garden after you got beat up pretty good by Louisville. When Michigan State is already beaten an SEC team and they're tough as nails and they win with physicality and toughness, what you're supposed to be good at, and you're getting paid like you live in Wall Street. How much more motivation for effort can we muster up here? I mean, how do you not have effort?
I don't know. There was some coach the other day. I don't remember who it was, but I remember the context of it. It was something about why can't we challenge players these days? Because it's like they're getting paid. And it's like, why can't we challenge them and all this? I don't remember exactly who it was, but I saw it somewhere. And just so, yeah. I mean,
I know, he probably makes what I make in a year in like 2 weeks. And you can't get yourself up for a top 20 game in MSG? Get the smelling salts out or something. I mean, come on here, guys.
I don't know. Everybody said the pay was going to change players and change all that. I don't know. It's just going to be one of those teams that goes down as a cautionary tale. It's 5 games in. We got a long way to go, folks. We try not to get too carried away here, but I don't think we've seen a situation like this in recent years in SEC basketball, where you've watched a coach visibly as the press conference is going on, looking like just completely like no answers, and just again devastated, like just completely defeated. And so,
Because even
I
like
don't
when
know.
a team's not like doing well, obviously the coach hates the press and the interviews they have to do. Like look at Aaron Glenn with the Jets. He hates the hates the reporters, but he still is
Yeah,
a strong he's still like, nope, this is my team. This is my I feel like it's kind of really affecting the players when your coach is like, head down, hanging low. I'm not doing a good job. It's like you gotta. Who said it? Mike Elko said it, I think. Mike Elko, the A&M coach, said,
yeah.
"My job is to be opposite whatever the situation is.
Mm-hmm.
When the players are, too calm and everything, I got to be the opposite and get them going. And when
Yeah.
everything's a panic and everything, I got to be the opposite and be the calm voice. Well, right now things aren't going good, and Mark Pope is just right down there with it. Like you gotta break them out of this."
E to the F and D here. If I was Pope, I would have gotten to the airport and told all the players they had to use all the money they have gotten and find their own flight home. Make them pay for their flights. So, I don't know. A lot to be determined on this with Kentucky. We will, of course, we will check it out. So, all right. So, Torius. Pope just looks lost right now, like me, after my wife was angry due to a comment I made on this channel. Well, we can't correct that. We can't fix that moving forward. So Torius, but all right. Kentucky's upcoming schedule, as we said, Loyola, Maryland. Thank goodness it's not Maryland. I don't think I could watch a Kentucky Buzz Williams Maryland team on Friday. I don't think I could watch that game if it happened. Tennessee Tech next Wednesday, and then of course it's North Carolina. After that, and the Zags in Nashville. So, all right. Hillbilly Shakespeare, I give you permission to pick Kentucky for the next 5 games. So I did correct that in my Illinois-Alabama pick. But they deserve to lose. You want me to pick Kentucky so they lose? Come on, Hillbilly Shakespeare. You're better than that. All right, let's get to some stuff here from earlier. I'm going to pull this up from Don. Then we're going to get back to, we had a couple questions or comments we started from earlier. Remember, Super Chat streak has currently broken. We have no Super Chats yet.
Oh, no.
If you want to be known as the chat that breaks the Super Streak, there we go. That's what we're going to call it. Then be my guest, folks. But come on, we don't need the double whammy of poor play and non-conference action from multiple SEC teams and the Super Streak chat, Super Streak chat, whatever the hell we're calling it. Broken here. Don says, I don't get FS1, so I won't see Alabama and Illinois tonight. I'm not optimistic based on what the top of the Big Ten has been doing to the SEC. Well, I'm not going to, push back on that. But we will get some comments from Nate Oates here, Max Barr. Let's see what he had to say.
This is apparently Steven just told me 3rd straight season. We've faced 3 straight top 10 teams. So scheduling, we're scheduling hard opponents on purpose. I think it tests us. Obviously, we would have liked to have gotten a win against Purdue, but I do think it exposed some areas we got to get better at. Obviously, the rebounding, it's been an issue throughout some of the exhibitions. It was a major issue against Purdue. And Illinois is, going to test us again. I mean, Mirkovic coming off a 21 rebound game, so they've got. They're big. I think they're actually bigger than Purdue, with the Avicic twins. Big Z's been at Arkansas. He had a great game against us last year. Thomas Law was pretty good against us at Illinois last year. Now they're on the same team. Then they had Mirkovic and Wagler's at guard, averaging over 4 boards a game. So we've got our hands full on the defensive glass. Again, we've been making a point of emphasis on it. We're going to have to do better. If we can't make some tough plays, it's going to be hard to win these games against top 10 teams. So, but we're looking forward to it. We had a good game against them here.
Well, he's not wrong. I mean, the rebounding's got to be better. We said that in the preview. And, yeah, I mean, it's a good Illinois team. So, a big test for Alabama. And yes, the Vitches. Always like to get the shout out for the Vitches. But yeah, it's going to be a big challenge for Alabama on this one.
You guys will see who I picked in the prediction video. Go ahead and watch that. But a little bit of a pick with my heart as well. Put a little bit of the heart into that one. Now, I do not condone any illegal activity, but if you do not have Fox Sports 1 like I do, and you need a alternate way to watch this, shoot me a direct message on Twitter, and I have multiple options for you. So Twitter right there. If you don't have Fox Sports, shoot me a message and I'll get you straightened out.
Max has got perfectly legal means to watch this incredible college basketball game. He's not going to be sharing anything that is not legal with you fine people in the chat, because the chat has just taken a step up with Steak, the longest running member maybe in the history of the channel. I think Steak was subscriber number 1, perhaps, to Southeastern 16. Taking a shot at the Cats, but that's okay. We allow it from Steak because Steak is the legend, the number 1, the original here at the channel. So Torres has made sure that the super chat streak is still going. 199. We need Sanders Logistics to move an offense in. Well, they do it all. They do it all. They
use it.
So,
you know who I was thinking about last night that I was like, darn it, we should have mentioned them in the reaction. Darn it.
Ted R.
Ansley
Sanders.
Almanor.
Oh, okay.
How much could a Ansley Almanor be used right now to just go get put in the corner and go bang 4 or 5 triples in a row, get the boys going, space the floor? It's like, oh, man, they could really use an Ansley right now.
Yeah. All right. Injury update from Sam Smith. JP has a bone bruise, not season ending. Will be back in SEC play, maybe before Louisville in December. So you heard it here first from Dr. Sam Smith. Okay.
Thank you.
Sean's chat from earlier, we started this because I thought it was interesting. He says, going philosophical here, is the SEC victim to the NIL system? There's no chemistry across the board. These newbies don't know how to play together. I mean, I wouldn't say it's probably just the SEC, but yes, I think there's a lot of money to go around in SEC basketball these days. And, I mean, team chemistry has become, I think, the biggest question for pretty much almost every team each season.
Yeah.
I mean, there are so many moving parts, and there's just no guarantee that all those parts are going to come together. If we made a list since the start of the transfer portal era of all the teams that were projected to be top 25 teams that didn't wind up finishing in the top 25, and let's say finished way outside of it, and we went back and tried to figure out, give me 3 characteristics as to why this team struggled, I guarantee a chemistry's in there for 90% of them. They just didn't have the chemistry. And so I think that's the way forward. Some teams will gel very well together. Some teams won't. And I do think, yes, we'd be kidding ourselves if we're like, there's not a financial aspect to some of this where it's just like, you know what? If I got paid however many millions of dollars, I don't know that I'd necessarily, be as motivated all the time. But still, I don't know that that's the biggest issue. I just think it's more so there are more variables in play to where chemistry is not anywhere near a given the way it used to be, just because you don't have a lot of these guys who have played together for multiple years the way you did in the past. So,
yeah, and it's hard to get every piece right when you're reconstructing a roster every year. Like, it's when you're pretty much redoing the whole team every year. It's hard to get the 5-man that can protect the rim and score back to the basket, and then get another guy just like him for depth behind him. Get a guy at the 4 that can rebound, but also space the floor and shoot. Get a good defensive point guard, but that can also play make. You need a sniper 40% and above on the wing. You need a 2 guard that can also handle ball handling responsibility. Like, to put all that together from scratch every offseason is tough. It's almost not doable for most teams. It is not doable for most teams. And so that's why if you look at who's the best right now in the country, you got the Zags. We've been watching Graham Ike and Braden Huff play next to each other for years. You have Duke, who brought back Caleb Foster, Isaiah Evans, Darren Harris, Ngagba. You've got Purdue. We know who all they have brought back. UConn brought back Terrace Reed. Caravan has been there forever. It's like right now, a few weeks into the season, the teams that have looked the best are the teams that just purely have the continuity.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as Spencer mentions, that, yeah, it probably does depend on the player and the coach. I mean, that certainly is a factor. But yeah, I mean, like back in the day, you had freshmen and understood, like you're trying to add in freshmen and all this other stuff. But I don't know. I mean, and Sean brings up, he says, sort of like NBA players taking games off because they're paid, which is a cause for concern. I don't know. It feels like we're getting outdogged against these no-name schools. Well, that's where players on the no-name schools, if you want to call them that, they got a lot more to prove. And they're guys who probably are trying to play for an eventual $1 million payday or whatever, right? And there's also not as much as there used to be because a lot of these guys are transferring over or up. But yes, you have more mid-major, low-major rosters that probably there is a little more cohesion because some of those guys are just staying at the same school for a longer period of time because they're not, on the open market having a million offers. So I don't know. It's a lot. Big Gator EJ. Can we just watch replays from last year?
Yes.
Let's just do that moving forward. How about that? Let's just all just watch replays from last season. It's going to be okay. It's a long season, folks. But a lot to figure out. Chris asked earlier, Arkansas versus Kentucky, which team improves before SEC play? I mean, listen, I think both teams are going to improve before SEC play. I don't think that just using 4 or 5 games is enough. They're both going to get better, but they also both have some challenges on their schedule. So, yeah, I mean, it may not come in the form of wins, but they can improve. So,
yeah, I would say Kentucky probably has the more room because you'll get the guys back from injury and that's just an obvious boost. Whereas Arkansas, you're kind of dealing with what you got right now. But I mean, if you ask me, is Arkansas going to finish north of 41 on KenPom? I'm, totally. Maybe this is good. You get these clunkers and this just lack of, offensive focus, taking poor shots and stuff like that. Get that out of the way because, hey, if you beat Duke on a neutral floor, none of this matters. No one is going to care that you skated by against Winthrop or Sanford. You just beat Duke. So could turn around real quick, as negative as it looks right now.
yeah. All right, I'm going to give you some updated national championship odds from FanDuel. There is not an SEC team in the top, I think, 12, 11, maybe.
Yikes.
Alabama is now the highest SEC team in the current national championship odds, plus 2,000 for the Tide. And then you've got Florida and Kentucky are both down at plus 2,200. So now's the time. If you think they're going to turn it around, maybe you can wait a little longer and get longer odds for one of those teams. They've moved down considerably. Arkansas is plus 3,000, Tennessee plus 3,000. I'll tell you the team that's making moves up. That's Vanderbilt, starting to climb a bit. They're not far behind. Michigan State, Iowa State, UCLA, Indiana, and then Vanderbilt. So the Commodores have climbed up a bit, but yeah. So those odds have taken a little bit of a hit. And your current updated odds to win the SEC. Now remember, as of yesterday, Kentucky was the favorite. As of now, Florida's plus 400, Alabama plus 450, Kentucky plus 460, Arkansas plus 650. So Florida's back up to your odds favorite over at FanDuel to win the SEC.
So far, the SEC has lost 12 games, I believe. Guess how many the Big Ten has lost without looking? The SEC's lost 12. How many's the Big Ten lost?
Well, I know Buzz Williams' Maryland team has lost one, right? Or did I just watch them and think they've lost, but it was actually a victory? All right. Other than that, I don't know, 4, 5?
4 losses. UCLA lost to Arizona,
right. Arizona
in a close one. Washington lost at Baylor, and Minnesota lost to Mizzou at Mizzou. Those are the only 4 Big Ten losses right now. The SEC has lost 12. I think there's a new leading conference, and I don't think it's too. It's the analytics are catching up pretty quickly. It's about to flip.
The SEC's rating in KenPom, I think it was a couple days ago. They were still at plus 20 point something, I think, on KenPom. They're down now down to plus 19.05, not 0.5, 05. Big Ten's at 18 plus 7, or 0.7, excuse me. So, like, the Big Ten's probably about to eclipse the SEC on KenPom.
Big Ten, I think it's the Big Ten is the Big Ten's the cream of the crop this year.
Yep. All right. We're about to hop off. We appreciate you guys, as always. Remember, Super Chats, memberships, you still got a couple minutes if you want to get those in. We do. We have something kind of fun cooking up for the members, and I think you're going to like some of the new stuff we're going to introduce. I think we may do one this week, but we may start next week. We'll see. But yeah, we're excited. We got a lot of fun stuff on the way. We got to entertain ourselves because right now, I mean, the product is struggling a little bit. So we got to entertain you guys and ourselves a little bit more. But
nothing wrong with the underdog role. Nothing wrong. I actually prefer it. I like it better.
That's what we should do. You know, us poor SEC basketball guys over here. You know, it's been a tough time for the SEC. No, come on. It'll be fine. It'll be fine, folks. So, yes, Sam, that's exactly going to be your wish. You're going to get less of us for members, so there's a great incentive to sign up. Phil asked if we're doing a Survivor Series stream. You never know, Phil. You never know. We may introduce Max to little war games this season. How about that? He can't wait to watch that. I guarantee you. So, all right. We appreciate you guys. The chat, the MVP, as always, of any show we do. And Big Baller Brad on the way out wants to let everyone know that Alabama has no chance to win tonight. So, congratulations to the Crimson Tide. And Max and Blake, Chris says, we need adult beverages during the live stream to deal with all these L's. Well, yeah. You know what, Chris? I'm not gonna respond to that, but I will tell you if you do need a beverage, the best place to get one is wherever you get your beverages. But the best place to put that beverage, and I'm not going to tell you to stick it somewhere. I'm going to tell you to stick it in your Game Time Sidekicks, pal. That's what you're going to do. So, all right.
So far this week, just Monday and Tuesday, the SEC is 2-8 against the spread. 2-8 right now. What goes, you know what they say, what goes down must come back up. Here we go, Tide.
Please, somebody do something. Alan's talking about the power rankings. I couldn't even give you anywhere close to a guess of what our power ranking is going to look like next week. But yeah, we'll see. And I know Big Blue Nation 61 is going to ask here, do you think Kentucky coach on the hot seat loses more games? I'll be honest with you. He's already on the hot seat. You're on the hot seat anytime you're the Kentucky basketball coach and you're not winning. So I'm not saying they're going to fire Mark Pope right now. But, folks, that's a hot seat job. You're always on the hot seat there unless you're winning all the time. So, all right. Appreciate you guys. Thanks as always for watching. Hit that subscribe button. Hit the like button on your way out. Remember, join the membership. We're going to surprise you with some membership stuff we have coming. And, yeah, turn on your notifications. You know when we go live. New videos here on the channel. Thanks always for watching. Support our friends. And we'll talk to you soon here at Southeastern 16, presented by FanDuel.